The US has just launched one of its largest strikes on the Houthis, but this isn't just another military operation, it's part of something bigger. The world is breathing as US forces move strategic bombers into position. All the while, tensions with Iran are reaching their boiling point.
Your top focus to be on right now, tensions are escalating in Yemen.
Why is the US so focused on Yemen? What's really at stake here? As Iran flexes its muscles, the stakes are higher than ever.
On Iran, the president said he's also considering secondary tariffs. If they don't make a deal, there will be bombing. And it will be bombing the likes of which they have never seen before.
Stay tuned as we dive into what's coming next and why this could change everything in the Middle East. The recent US strikes on the Houthis make a turning point in the ongoing conflict in Yemen. Now, these attacks are not just about neutralizing a few key targets, they signal a larger military strategy. The Houthis, backed by Iran, have long been a threat to global shipping, using missiles and drones to disrupt vital trade routes. Now, the US has made it clear, enough is enough. The strikes focused on key Houthi leaders and their missile depots, aiming to cripple their military capability. One key target was a Houthi missile expert who was killed whilst entering a building, highlighting the precision of these operations. US officials have said this is not a one-off event, but part of a sustained effort to stop attacks on global assets. The message is simple. The US won't let the Houthis continue their aggression, especially in such a critical waterway like the Red Sea. Now, this military action is also part of a broader strategy against Iranian influence in the region. By hitting the Houthis, the US sends a direct message to Tehran that its support for those groups will not go unchecked. This isn't just about Yemen, it's about sending a powerful signal to Iran and its allies across the Middle East. The recent US strikes on the Houthis are part of a much larger geopolitical struggle. Tensions in the Middle East are at a boiling point. With the US and Israel focused on countering Iran's growing influence, at the heart of this conflict is Iran's nuclear program, which has become a major concern for both Israel and the US. As Iran moves forward with its nuclear ambitions, the threat to regional stability increases. In response, the US has shifted its military assets closer to Iran. 7 B-2 bombers have been deployed to Diego Garcia, a strategic base in the Indian Ocean. These bombers are capable of penetrating deep into enemy airspace and destroying underground bunkers. Their deployment is seen as a powerful message to Iran. The US is prepared for any escalation, especially if Iran continues to support proxy groups like the Houthis. This military buildup is not just about Yemen, it's about containing Iran's influence in the region. The US knows that destabilizing groups like the Houthis are a direct result of Iran's support. The strikes against them are part of a broader strategy to weaken Iran's hold over its allies and reduce the threat to global shipping lanes. The US isn't only fighting in Yemen, it's sending a clear signal to Tehran that its actions will have consequences. The balance of power in the Middle East is shifting and the stakes are higher than ever. Iran plays a central role in the current conflict, shaking the Middle East. Through its axes of resistance, Iran supports groups like the Houthis in Yemen, Hezbollah in Lebanon, and Hamas in Gaza. These groups act as Iran's proxies, carrying out attacks while Tehran stays behind the scenes. By funding and arming them, Iran can export power without confrontation. The Houthis in particular have become a thorn in the side of global trade. With Iran's support, they've launched missiles and drones that target shipping vessels in the Red Sea. Iran's strategic move is to control key maritime routes and disrupt global commerce. Iran's nuclear ambitions add another layer of tension. Its underground missile cities and nuclear facilities are heavily protected. The US and Israel view Iran's nuclear program as a direct threat to the stability of the region and beyond. With its increasing military presence in Yemen, Iran is positioning itself as a regional power capable of challenging US interests. Stopping Iran's influence in the region is critical for the US and its allies. Now, if Iran can continue to fund and arm these groups, it will keep destabilizing the Middle East. The US strategy is clear: confront Iran's proxies and prevent Tehran from gaining further power. The Houthis are not a typical rebel group. They are a formidable force, equipped with advanced weaponry and tactics. Now, their military strength comes from high-tech weaponry and clever use of limited resources. Iran has heavily influenced their capabilities, supplying them with missiles, drones, and naval warfare tools. At the forefront of their arsenal are ballistic missiles. The Houthis have fired Iranian-made missiles like the Mujahideen and Al-Nasser, capable of hitting ships and land targets with precision. Now, these missiles can reach up to 120 km, making them a significant threat to commercial and military vessels. In addition to missiles, the Houthis deploy drones. Now, these aren't your average UAVs. They use Shahed drones, which are cheap, but they're deadly. These drones are often used in swarms, overwhelming targets with sheer numbers. Now, they're guided by basic GPS, but still significantly damage ships and infrastructure. The Houthis also use unmanned surface vessels, small drone boats filled with explosives. These slow-moving boats can be directed at ships and pose a serious risk to international shipping. With such weapons at their disposal, the Houthis have become a force that cannot be easily ignored. Their growing military strength continues to challenge both regional and global security. Under the Trump administration, the US has taken a hardline stance against Iran and its proxies, including the Houthis. From the start, Trump made it clear that Iran's support for military groups would not go unchecked. The US began focusing on Iran's role in the destabilization of the Middle East, especially in Yemen. By targeting Houthi leaders and weaponry, the Trump administration aimed to weaken Iran's influence in the region. The strategy has been simple, but it's also been bold, holding Iran accountable. Trump officials have repeatedly said that any attack on US interests by these groups would be treated as an attack from Iran itself. This approach shifts the focus to Iran, making them directly responsible for the actions of their proxies. Now, looking ahead, the US is likely to continue its aggressive stance. Military strikes will remain on the table, especially if Iran's involvement with groups like the Houthis persists. At the same time, the Trump administration has left room for diplomatic solutions. However, with Iran's nuclear ambitions growing, the window of peaceful negotiation is narrowing. Now, the Trump administration actions signal a clear message. Iran must either cease its support for these groups or face more confrontation from the US and its allies. The strikes are higher than ever. The US strikes on the Houthis are more than just military actions. They are part of a broader strategy to contain Iran's influence in the Middle East. With the ongoing threats from Iran's proxies and its nuclear ambitions, the stakes have never been higher. The Trump administration approach sends a clear message. Iran must stop destabilizing the region or face serious consequences. Whether through military force or diplomatic pressure, the US is committed to preventing Iran from achieving nuclear power and using its proxies to cause chaos. The future of the Middle East? Well, that all depends on how these tensions unfold.